Hey, Mary. I don't have any sound. Oh, there I am. Okay. Hey.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. I'm going to mute me now.
Okay. Okay, you want to unmute so you can talk? Come up here. No, up here, right here. Open it up big. Hello. How are you guys doing?
Great. How are you today?
I am doing fine, All right. I always honor your time by starting on time. And so there are others who are going to jump in, so they'll catch up or they'll see me privately. So, all right, let me get myself situated here. Okay, so tell me, and you can unmute and ask me questions, right? So tell me what you know about a GPS. What is it? Anybody has a GPS for your business? So I'm assuming by the silence that you don't have a GPS. So apart from the one in your car, do you know what it is?
The game plan, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it's a game plan for what, Mary?
For your business.
Okay, all right. I love that. Any other thoughts on what it is? All right, so we are in an exciting time here in Atlanta. It's the 27th of October, 2021. And so our Braves are in the playoffs. So do you think yay? So do you think the Braves just showed up and played, or do they have a game plan?
Game plan.
All right, cool. So a GPS is exactly what we use in our business. It's our game plan, as Mary says. It's the big picture of what we would like our business to look like next year. And so your GPS is a reflection of the goals that you've set. Now, everybody on here went to Steve Coates' business planning class, I'm assuming, yes?
Yes.
Right. And so you have that one-page business plan.
Mhm.
All right. Apart from myself, who has looked at that business plan since the day we did it in September?
I looked at it one time.
All right. And where is it clear? And thank you for your honesty.
I only looked at it one time and then I put it down and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for this yet. That's my honest answer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so where do you have it clear?
It's in my notebook.
Yes. And do you know why I'm not surprised by that answer?
Why not?
Because I did it every year. I would go to these business planning classes and it would end up in a notebook. And so I think it was Gary Keller I heard, and he said it should be on your wall every day where you can see it. So we did ours in September. And to be honest, most of the time the reaction is clears. Am I ready for this yet? So what do you think would happen if between now and January 1st, if you had it on a wall or on your bathroom mirror, whatever, where you could see it every day, what do you think would happen to your mindset and to your brain?
Well, I know my stomach would get upset every time I looked at it because I don't have any business right now. So it would get me going. Actually, my stomach would be upset, but then I'd be thinking to myself, I got to do something about this.
Motivation.
Exactly right. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do today, and I'm going to use a GPS from a team. And by the end of this, you will know why I've used that GPS. And it's based on on what Claire just said, right? So your GPS are your goals, priorities, your strategies that you have your business plan. So now how do I set about achieving my business plan? I've got to set some goals around it. So the first piece that I'm going to talk about is your GPS, and that just stands for goals. What is my one big goal for the year, right? And it could be profit driven, or it could be units driven, right? It could be, I want to sell 36 homes next year, or I want to do 24, right? Or it could be after everybody's paid, after the man is paid and the woman is paid and everybody's paid, I want my profit to be $50,000. So that would be your one big goal, right? Your priority would be, okay, how do I get there? What's my priority to get in here? And then under your priorities, S would be your strategies, right? So my objective for you today is for you to have a better understanding of what a GPS and a 411 is, for you to leave ready to get your GPS together and to send that to me so we can have discussions around it. Because don't you agree that we have to inspect what we expect?
Yes.
All right, great. So every year we set our goals and we sit with our coaches, and then like Claire said, our stomach can't take it. We struggle with, how in the world am I going to execute this? So I want to go inward before we can go outward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I want to talk a lot about the GPS. I want to show you an example of one. And then I want you guys to shoot questions over at me, because for some of you, it might be the very first time that you're seeing a GPS and you don't have one for your business and you would like to have one for your business. So let me go ahead and pull it up and we can discuss it, right? And this is from a team. And if you think of any questions, just ask me. And that is upside down. So hang on. All right, great. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna move you guys over. All right, so what is your G, right? It's your one big goal, right? And then what is your priority? We're gonna talk about that, and then we're gonna talk about strategies. And you shouldn't have too many strategies. I think up to 5 would be good, right? So add a strategy that's powerful enough to hit your one goal. So let's just take a look at a sample agent GPS. All right, so you see that the goal for that sample agent is to close 122 units.
That's the hard part, is tenant rights, or, unless you would actually hire.
No, hang on, I'm hearing Miss Libby. Is she in the hallway?
Yeah. I can close the door.
Okay, thank you. And as you're doing that, Kadiatu, let me scroll through. There's one thing I'm going to point out on this GPS that I love this, and this is completed. So on your GPS, you should always have by when and who is going to do it. And for most of you guys, it's you because you're a single agent. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this person, they want to close 122 units. And so here's priority number one. Priority number one is that they're going to do that by closing 73 listing sides. Priority number two could be, I am going to close 49 buyers. And then of course, you've got all of these buyers and sellers, right? So both of those, if you total those up, it's 122. You've got your buyers and your sellers. And because all of us, we want referral business and clients for life, she thought it was so important, or he thought it was so important to their GPS, to their business, to their long-term goals, that they would add priority number 3, which is customer care. Any questions so far? Now, remember, this is a team. This is a pretend team, right? So the first strategy that we can all use in our business is, of course, we're going to do a 36 touch to our entire database. So beginning of the year or whenever they finish, right? Hang on. Libby's pacing and making her phone calls, which is why she's the top, one of the top agents in the office. Okay, so where was that? So beginning of the year, or even right now, you don't have to wait. We can launch a 36 touch to our entire contact database. Any questions about that? And who is gonna do that? Jamie, and he's gonna get that done by 11/30/19. So let's just say 11/30/21. Right? Strategy number 2, I'm going to hold 86 listing appointments. My conversion rate is 90%. And so if you do 90%, 86 times 90%, you should close about 73, right? Who's going to do that? Me. And this person is saying, you know what? I want to do all of my listing appointments by a certain time to hit that appointment number. How am I going to do this? So one of the things we learn is that we feed our database, right? We feed it, and we consistently touch it. So I'm going to add 480 new contacts to my database, which is 40 a month. And Jamie's in charge of that. The fourth strategy is I'm gonna hold an open house from October through to September 30th, right? This one could be, I'm gonna hold an open house every Sunday, right? Or I'm gonna hold several open houses per week. And quite frankly, for you newer agents, open houses could be a priority. And we'll talk about that. Instead of doing it as a strategy, which they've done here, you could make your open house a priority and have 5 strategies that go along with that. Now, somebody just said to me this morning, excuse me, I think it was Mary, I want to do contests, I want to do events. Well, this person, in order to support closing 73 listing transactions, they're going to hold referral contests quarterly. And who's in charge of putting that together? Karen is in charge of putting that together. Any questions on priority number 1, which is to close 73 listing transactions? May I go on?
Yes.
All right. So let's go on to priority number 2. And that is, she's gonna close 49 buyer transaction side. All right, so I'm gonna hold 79 buyer consultations and achieve 80% conversion. So her conversion rate on the buyers is less than the selling side. And this could be anything. It could be that, you know, there are certain buyers who are realistic, so I'm not the right agent for them. Or there are certain buyers, I'm gonna hold the consultation, and when we do a deep dive into their debt to income ratio, which we don't do, but from general conversation, when we do a deep dive into how much money they have saved up, we know they're not quite ready. And through the consultation, we help them self-discover. So I'm gonna convert 80% of those, right? Here again, I'm gonna hold 24 levels, 7 open houses, and I'm gonna do those 2 times a month. And the goal is to attract buyers. So you see the difference up here? Here, this person wants to attract sellers, right? And it could be, I don't know for sure, it could be under the priority to close the 73 listing transactions, that this open house could be just open house for the neighborhood, right? And then this one is a general open house where I'm gonna hold 24 level 7 open houses, and we're gonna do 2 a month to attract buyers. Any questions around a level 7 open house?
Is that in the MREA book?
Yes. And in your, it's actually in your shift book. And who was that? Was that Mary or Kadia? Okay, all right, Mary, we'll talk about that. Now look at this, you guys. They're gonna add 2,025 contacts to their sphere of influence, and this is for the year. So it's 45 per week times 45 weeks. Do you think if she's holding that many open houses and door knocking around her listings that she'll have that many contacts?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. All right. And it's important for them to keep track of that. And it's also important, you guys, to hold 20 scripts and role play sessions per month. Now, how important is that? Very. And so lead generate, this strategy number 5 is lead generate for listings for 2 hours daily. So personally, I would have had strategy number 5 up here on the listings. But it's a sample GPS, so you can do whatever you want with your own GPS. All right. Priority number 3 is, it is so important to me, I'm going to pretend, or to her, that I be in business for a very long time, and that most of my business is now referral business, that priority number 3 is going to be customer care. And everybody on the team is going to know that we are customer centric, and that we want to create such an experience for our customers that when they think about real estate, we come to mind, right? So strategy number 1, we're going to execute the promise script with every listing. Do you guys know what the promise script is?
No, I don't.
All right, so homework for everybody on this call, thank you, Claire, is go to YouTube and type in. Say that again, Kadiatu.
Is it the one that you said, if I do a good job to where you're promising to do a review for you? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, and it's more than that.
Okay.
Okay, so go to YouTube, type in KW's promise script. And it's a promise with every listing. Okay. Okay, so here's the review. Strategy number 2, Kadiato, is a review. Can everybody see my screen? Okay, I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. So as part of my customer care, I'm gonna obtain 2 reviews, testimonials from every client, and Jason is in charge of that, right? I'm gonna make 1 Instagram post per week, which is a call to action. And we are gonna launch systematic weekly updates to all of our clients. And we will generate 1 piece of business for every listing taken. Any questions before I go on? I will assume that that's a no, so I have a couple of questions for you. All right, remember how up here it's 122?
Mhm.
Okay, so if we go down here, and she wants to generate 1 piece of business for every listing taken, right? So she's gonna take, well, let's assume that it's 73. She's gonna close 73 listings. So just let's say 73, because she's gonna take more, right? If we have 1 extra piece of business, what is that? 73 plus 73 is what? 146, right? So, okay, so Gary Keller says, right? Why do you need 3 priorities? Gary teaches us to make priority number 1 so strong that it could stand on its own and it could achieve your 1 goal for the year. Questions around that? May I explain what he means?
Yes, I'd like to do that.
Thank you, thank you. All right, so Gary says master priority number 1 in such a way that you don't need priority 2 and 3, because priority number 1 is big enough to knock over your goal for the year. So if you're mastering the listing appointment, right? You're mastering adding your contacts and systematically touching them, because you're going to touch them here. You're going to launch a 36 touch, and you're going to call them, and you're going to do open houses around every listing, and you're going to hold referral contests every quarter. Isn't it possible that from just mastering this, that you get to 122 units? Yes, I hear a faint yes. Okay, I'll take it. All right. In fact, Gary goes on to say that you should master number 1 first, and then you earn the right to move on. Does that make sense? Because what he says is we've got to look big, right? So we've got all of this, and then we've got to go really small. We've got to focus on our 1 thing. So what is the 1 thing that you could be doing right now to whatever your goals are, guys? What is the 1 thing that you need, that you know that you should do, and master that at such a high level that you could hit your goal with 1 priority?
Call 20 people a day.
Say
Legion.
that again, Kadiati.
Call 20 people per day. That's my number 1 thing for me personally.
All right, so Kadiatu, is it calling 20 people per day or is it contacting 20 people, talking to 20 people a day?
For me, honestly, I just want to make those 20 calls and in regards to real estate. So I think as long as I just get on there and just get the dialing, eventually I think it can get consecrated, but I feel like my starting point, to be honest, is making 20 calls. And then as I go forward, I can drive in more, just be honest.
All right, and I love the honesty, but here is the thing, right? And I think I have it somewhere and I'll share it in a minute. As a brand new agent, you make 144 calls before you get one appointment. So do you think making one call, 20 calls is gonna get it? How many calls do you have to make to talk to 20 people, right? That's the goal. It's a formula that works for the top agents, and it's a recipe that you just repeated. So it's not 20 calls per day. It is 20 contacts per day. Over and over again, and it's because the formula is 3, 20, and 1. So it's 3 hours spent lead generating, right? One of those could be lead follow-up, right? So let's say you do 2 hours lead gen, and then you're gonna get some leads, so you've got to follow up. So the last hour you follow up. So 3 hours of lead gen, 20 contacts a day, and then set one appointment per day. Because we have to start thinking like business owners. And how big do you want this business, right? So usually when I say to new agents, how much money do you want to make? What do you think they tell me?
100,000.
Absolutely,
what I was gonna
100% right, Kim.
I was gonna say 100,000.
Absolutely. And then we break that 100,000 down all the way to the amount of appointments that they need to go on. And then I break that down to, as a new agent, here are your appointments. Here's your conversion ratio, because you're new, so it's going to be 50 to 1. So identify your goal, right? Put a GPS together, or the makings of one. And you and I, because I think everybody on here has a coach, most 90% of you, 95%, you are coaching with me. And we will run that GPS, because the question is, who are you becoming when you're operating at a very, very high level? What is the difference between somebody who comes to this office, caps in 3 months, versus somebody who's been here a long time and never caps? What do you think the difference is, guys?
Lead gen.
Lead gen and
They're working their plan. Whatever the plan is, they're working it.
and
They're not just calling, but they are making contacts and following up.
yes, ma'am. They're not just making contacts to, they're not just making phone calls to make phone calls. They're very systematic and they're very focused on that one thing. So the mindset is different, clear. I'm not just gonna call to call, right? I'm gonna call because I have a plan. All right, any questions around the GPS before we move on to now? How do we take this big old document, right? And put it, make it bite-sized little pieces where we can execute it. Questions? All right, and before I get off of this page, what one thing, and I'm gonna go down the room, what one thing did you see, Mary, that jumped out at you?
The specificity of the numbers.
That'll work.
Yes.
Me too. Yeah. When I first looked at this, I'm like, wow, they know their numbers and they know their conversion ratio because they track it. All right, Clear, what jumps out at you?
Priority 3 was, I can't see it now, but yeah, priority 3, customer care. The execute promise script, it kind of bothered me that I'd never heard that before. So as soon as I get off from here, I'm going to definitely watch that YouTube video.
Yes, and if I find it before you, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
All right, Kim, what about you, Kim? What jumped out at you?
Well, I mean, sort of back to Mary, numbers never lie. And so it's just the longer I'm here, my hard-headedness, I'm realizing that numbers never lie.
Mhm. Yeah. What about you, Amanda?
I agree with the numbers. I think it's just like how simply it's broken down, but it seems really overwhelming. Like when you look at like the big numbers. So I'm excited to go over like the next part that you're about to go over.
Right. And I did this for a reason because I went Clear and I did not know that Clear was going to say what she said up front. So Clear, let me ask the question and then I'll tell you why I chose this sample. So Clear, now that you look at these numbers, how does your numbers feel to you?
Inadequate.
Tell me more about that, Clear.
I do not feel that I am making enough contacts. I just don't feel like I mean, the phone calls that I'm making, I really do have to be more purposeful. And these numbers are really overwhelming to me looking at them because
Right.
it's just, you know, I mean, I've made so many phone calls and I've really not gotten, I've been on 3 appointments, but I haven't actually won the buyer, if you want to say it that way.
Okay. So, and when you look at this, this could be an agent with, it could be a single agent with 3 admin people, right? Which means this agent is not, she's in her 5. And you guys know what the 5 are, yeah?
Yes, and I just to go on to Claire, the purposeful is key. And I mean, I appreciate your honesty in that, but I think that's a reflection for all of us.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that she's having this conversation with me and with us, because haven't we all been right there? And most of the time we still are, right? Because the higher you get, the more overwhelming it gets sometimes.
Totally.
Okay, all right. So this is an agent who's thinking bigger, right? Probably started out where everybody is. And one of the things that jumped out at me is that this, adding the new contacts to the database, 40 a month, right? Which probably 10 a week, 2 a day. So she's very purposeful about growing that database, right? So she has a strategy around growing the database, and it is a smart strategy. It's specific, right? It's measurable, it's time-based, and it's actionable, and it's realistic for her. So I love that. So how do you know what your priorities are going to be? Well, let's go to a 411. And I did not fill the 411 out. We'll just talk our way through it. So the 411 allows you to take your big old GPS, which is, this is your blueprint, and break it down into monthly. So the yearly goals are going to be the annual goals from your GPS, right? So monthly, yearly, and weekly goals. So let's pretend we're going to use our GPS up top. So we know what the annual goals are. She's going to close 122. right? And under here, it would be 122, it would be 73 listings, it would be that many buyers. And so your annual goals don't change. And now here's what I love about this 411 template. And I've seen tons of them. This is the one that I use because this right side is going to give me the incentive to do this. So I was looking at Facebook last night, and one of my friends in this office, who's a big agent, she's got Braves season tickets. And somebody made a comment on that, and she said, yes, that is why I work so hard, right? So I can create experiences for myself, such as this. So let's just play, right? What is something personal that you guys want to achieve for yourself next year?
I'd love to go to more Georgia home games. I miss it. My nephew played for the team, and when he was playing, I got to go to all the games. And I graduated from Georgia, and I'm a huge Bulldog fan. So that would be a personal. I mean, I know if we're talking about flippant things, you know, like I mean, I have deeper personal things, of course, that I want to accomplish. But those are personal. But that would be one thing that I'd absolutely love to do, is be more a part of the Bulldog Nation, because I'm just such a Bulldog fan.
Okay. All right, great. So what would that look like over here? Very specific, clear. What would that look like?
Make a whole bunch of money.
And does that whole bunch of money have a specific number attached to it?
Somebody else jump in.
No, this is your question, Claire, because I'm going to help you work it out.
I was going to say, you know, that $100,000 is always the number in the back of my mind. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for. I mean, I just want to be I want to be monetarily successful, but I also want to be in my personal life. I want to be successful that way too, in relations with people.
Okay, so let's just assume that your one goal over here on your professional side is I want to make $100,000 next year. Because on the personal side, I want to buy Georgia season tickets. And how much are those, Claire?
Well, you got to make a huge contribution to the school to be able to even be considered to get season tickets. So I actually don't know the real price of it, but I know that my friend made a $10,000 contribution to the school, and then she was allowed to purchase season tickets. Let's just say that.
All right.
I don't know how much.
Okay, so let's say we're playing until you find out. On the personal side, here's what that would look like, Claire. Make a contribution of $10,000 to my alma mater, such that by doing that, I'll be able to purchase season tickets. Could that be something on your personal side?
Yes, that's a good way to put that.
All right, because extraordinary success means having extraordinary clarity. Don't you agree?
For certain.
For certain. And thank you so much. All right, so at the very top is the year, and you're gonna set the year and just let it be. Now, and your monthly is where you get to break it down. So let's just assume that you are gonna say, we're gonna close 36 transactions, right? So this month we're gonna close 3. And on the personal side, I would like to, just using the top one, I would like, hang on, sorry. All right. So on the personal side, it would be, I want to put $500 in savings towards my $10,000 contribution. Make sense?
Yes.
All right, on the personal side, this month, because we're talking about months, right? And this month, right, because I want to make 36 sales, what do I have to do in my 5? And you remember what your 5 is, right? Scripts and role play, lead gen, lead follow-up, going on appointments, and then negotiate contracts. So over here, it would be the total amount of appointments that you need to go on to get to closing 3 next month, this month, every month, right? And then on your weekly, right? So let's say over here, I am gonna go on 10 appointments. I'm gonna conduct 10. So for the month, so how many do I need to go on every week? So let's do 8 because I like even numbers and they're 4 weeks. All right, so if I'm gonna go on 8, then every week I need to go on 2 or 3 or 4. And what am I doing over here on my personal? Any questions on how you break your 411 down? Kim, any questions?
No, I'm not good at it, but I don't have any questions about it.
All right, do you think if you had more practice at it, you would be good at it?
Well, yeah, I mean, practice makes perfect.
Okay,
So I've just got to be more, as Claire says, purposeful.
okay, okay. All right, and so, yes, so let's just pretend again, whatever your annual is set. And so for your monthly, you're gonna divide by 12, whatever is up here, and you put it in the month, right? And then for the weekly, you divide by 4. Make sense? Now, here's the thing. Let's say I was supposed to go on 8 or 3. I was supposed to go on 3 listing appointments this week, and I did 2. So next week, how many are we going on?
4.
Yes. So whatever you do not achieve in week 1, then you plus it to week 2. Right? Let's say one of my things is that I'm gonna pop by this month, right? And I've got it set for week 2, but week 2 something happened. Then of course you can't just skip your pop by. You've got to do it the next week or the whenever. Make sense? Talk to me.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Any questions before we go on? All right, so what we're doing with our 411, we are highlighting the activities on the 411 that drives the results. Let me say that again. We're highlighting the activities on the 411 that gets us to knocking over our big goals on the GPS. And we use a GPS to break down what we need to do. As we use a GPS as a guide on what we're doing. So this is eating the elephant by little bites. And I tell you, there is nothing more satisfying than being able to tick the personal side off. Like on my personal side, last couple of years ago, well, even last year, I had 4 family vacations. And even in COVID, we did that. Yeah. And I had to be purposeful about putting it on my personal 411 because if I did not, it would not happen because I would find a way. So here's another tip, and this is from Gary Keller. When you're planning your year, and if you guys haven't bought your paper calendar, I don't use one anymore because I wasn't. I go into my Google Calendar now and I sit with my family and I put the 4 trips on it first. Because if I don't, it doesn't happen. And if I don't have those 4 trips, I won't work as hard over here. So Gary says you put all of your personal on first because it gives you the incentive to work hard in your professional. Anybody agree or disagree with that?
Agree.
Agree. All right.
Totally agree.
Yes. Yeah. And that includes, for those of you guys who have kids, Amanda, you have a little one, in spring break, Cobb County usually comes out with their calendar. Grab that calendar, and as you're planning the yearly for 2022, put all the spring breaks on there and what you're gonna do. And
One of
then,
my goals for next year is to take a Disney cruise.
yeah,
Woo!
woohoo! We've done that. We did that once with all of
Do
the
you need
kids.
a nanny?
Yes. Kim's volunteering. So I did that one time with all 4 kids. And I never had the opportunity again to do it with 4 children. And it was a dream come true. And yes, guys, it was on the calendar.
Mhm.
And that was a very expensive trip too. All right. Any other questions? So somebody put on their personal 1 week, one of the 411s that I've seen, she had time block on the personal side, 2 hours this week on a Thursday to research vacations. How awesome is that? And actually, I'm looking at it right now. She said in her personal, 24 date nights to strengthen my marriage, 24 family meetings to review my budget, 3 family vacations booked by, and actually she had a date. So 3 family vacations booked by March 31st of next year, and exercise 150 times. And so in the personal, let me grab this so I can read it. In the personal month, it has an hour time block to plan 2 dates and line up sitters, right? Time block of family meeting, because it's up top in the yearly, and then 2 hour time blocks, research vacations, and then exercise 15 times that month. In the weekly, she has 1 hour time block to plan 2 dates, line up sitters, discuss family meeting with my husband to get the buy-in from him. And I'm gonna exercise 4 times this week. Very detailed, very finite. If you guys have read the one thing, that's one of the things that Gary talks about is just, yes, having a big mindset, because you can do that in this business, but then use the tools and the systems that we have in place for you guys where you can go ultra small to be able to go huge. Now, that's the end of it for me. I want you guys to come off mute and ask any questions, give me some feedback.
I like how it's, again, with the numbers, showing how you can get specific on it and how to work it out. I just really like that part.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what I got from it was that even though I have my little meager goal right now, the 20, because it's where I'm starting, but to know that in order for me to hit the goals that I have set, of course, I have to just continuously increase, with me being, I'm purposefully with my calls, but just make sure that I have to just keep adding on, contacting more people to meet, because that is my number one thing right now, so to meet my goals that I want to meet by next October. So,
Yeah, yes, and are you doing the activities, right? And even for me, we have this conversation every week with my coach. She's on vacation this week, so I have a reprieve. It's like, are you doing the activities to get the results that you say you want to get? Like, how many agents did you follow up with this week? Right? How many interviews did you have this week? You want to build a downline authoring. It's on your priority. How many interviews have you had with people who are about to get their license?
yeah,
Right? Is 5 enough?
yeah.
Is that gonna achieve your goal? And if it's not, stop playing around. Is it a business or not? Right?
And I think what helped me too is that when I wrote down what I wanted, but when I wrote it down also in my car, it's just on like a little sticky note, along with a few other things, just constantly. Actually, Steve Harvey was talking about that, we know about writing stuff down. I have my vision board on my wall, but when I took it also, and I wrote it on a piece of sticky paper, so just about every single day I'm driving and it's green, it's bright, and I'm just looking at my goals, just keep me focused on what it is that I want, that I'm working towards every single day, just kind of looking at it every single day like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think at least 4 of us on here, we are taking bold, and that is gonna bless our socks. And get ready to be stretched if it's your first time. Get ready to be stretched beyond your comfort zone, right? That is coming. Because if you're not used to making 20 contacts a day and all of a sudden you're calling, and you've made 75 calls and you still haven't talked to 20 people, and you're going to have to, because they're putting you on a team, right? And if you let the team down, everybody gets a foul. So how would you like to be the person that causes people not to reach their goal, right? So get ready to grow and stretch and feel the overwhelm and embrace it and breathe. All right, Amanda. Oh, Kim, go ahead, Kim.
Well, I mean, just to further that on and being in bold and the ones that were there, when she had us do that 1 through 4, why you were there and sort of going through, I don't even know how she phrased it, but you had to go through sort of your fear. It helped me get to that point of why I was resisting a little bit some of these calls and calling my sphere. And I think that's where my focus, it's been there, but I haven't followed through. And it was one thing I had this fear of rejection, if you will, but I've never ever thought of anybody calling me that it was bad. I loved their call. So why would I think that they would not be the same with me?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly right. Yeah.
so yes, it will be stepping out of my comfort zone, but I also am looking forward to it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, because you're ready to grow. And it's the mindset piece where you're ready to grow, because your mind understands that I cannot keep doing the same thing and expect different results. It just doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm so
And you're
sorry.
meant to grow.
I'm so sorry. I have to get a phone call. I'm very, very sorry, everybody. I have to pick this up. Sorry.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate you, Clear. All right. Any questions? I'm gonna let you guys go early. Let's see. It's 11:55.
No questions.
Okay. And if you have them, come see me privately and we'll work on your 411. And I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for jumping on. It means the world to me. And you go have a magnificent day. And go
We
set,
appreciate you too.
yes, go set a listing appointment.
Yes.
Yes. All
Thank
right,
you.
Amanda. All right, Kim. All right, you guys.
Thank you.
I can't see everybody, but all right. See you later.